You're listening to Forged from Fat. For everyone who's been afraid to step up, this is for you, the All Things Life podcast. Your hosts, John and Kieran, are two regular guys with one common goal, to lift you up. Enjoy the show.
What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Forged from Fat. I'm one of your hosts, Kieran. I'm currently melting on the East Coast. And as always, I'm with John. What's up, John?
Oh, just melting on the, I'm not on a coast, in the central area of the state.
Is Minnesota known as the land of 1,000 lakes? Is that Minnesota or my 10,000? So you have to be near a coast of a lake, right?
Yes, if that counts.
Is there like a geographical scavenger hunt to log all? You know how like they have those beer apps where if you drink a beer you log it? Do they have those for those lakes?
I don't think so, but that'd be cool.
That's a lot of lakes.
Yeah, I think I've heard it's more than 10,000 though.
Well, what defines a lake though? It's got to be bigger, a certain size, right? Like I have some, what?
Bigger than a pond.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I have ponds in my neighborhood, but maybe one of them's a lake and it just doesn't know it yet. You know, it needs to glam up and pretend it's a lake. I don't know. But yeah, it's things are going good, man. I've been outside all day. It's actually been a pretty productive day. Got to the gym, and my wife wanted some raised flower bed or vegetable garden beds because we don't have a garden. So what Mama wants, Mama gets. And I went to the store and I just built 2 of them actually. Just
awesome.
finished before I came upstairs. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a couple of those outside too.
I'm trying to grow some veggies. Even though I don't really like veggies, but it's all hot peppers.
Yeah, we got hot peppers, but make sure you squirrel proof that stuff because those little shits eat all our everything. We tried tomatoes last year, gone.
Really? Yeah. I'll just put some habaneros out there. They can just burn their tongues off.
There you go.
But we don't get squirrels in our yard. We only have one big tree inside the fenced area, so the birds though, we got a lot of birds, a lot of baby birds, a lot of bird poop.
Yeah, there are squirrels everywhere around here. They drive me nuts. All right, dude. Yeah. Well, we have an awesome guest on today.
Yes, we do.
Pretty excited about this one, and I'm super excited because she is a fellow Minnesotan.
Minnesotan.
Lives right here in Minneapolis. So we're going to talk a little bit about her before she hops on here. Her name is Kristin Rowell. She goes by Minnesota MN Golden Girl on Instagram. I actually just started following her quite a ways back, and that's kind of how I, found out about her. And we talked about this a little bit. She's friends with Danny in Mount Vega, and I know she's been out there quite a bit. She's done some speaking at I think KetoCon and some other big events.
Yeah, so, KetoCon 19.
Yeah. So a little bit about Kristin. She is a nutritional therapy practitioner, a lawyer. I don't know if she still practices law, but she is a former lawyer, or maybe she still practices. Self-experimenter and proud low-carb ketogenic athlete. We do get a lot of those that we talk about and we talk to, so this is kind of cool. Kind of hear her story. She has so many accomplishments, dude. Like I can't even read through all these. She's a 25-time marathoner with a personal best of 3 hours, 19 minutes at the Twin Cities Marathon in 2015. 5 of those were after a major injury, which we're going to talk about. IPE Natural Professional Bodybuilder in the figure division, 2018 Miss Natural Minnesota, as recognized by the National NANBF. 2019, she was on the list of the top 50 women attorneys in Minnesota by Super Lawyers. That's cool. 2019, at the same time, was named top 50 women attorney. She left her law practice to pursue nutrition and became an FNTP, Functional Nutritional Therapy Practitioner.
That's a natural transition, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's a tongue twister. So she graduated from that in 2019, and then she launched her current business, Energetically Efficient, and that is what she's doing now. So without like reading this whole thing, which is some major awesome accomplishments. I think it's pretty cool that she is a recognized ketogenic athlete.
Yeah. That is pretty cool.
Both you and I, we follow ketogenic / carnivore / kindivore, and I don't know if I consider myself an athlete right now, but
no, I'm just a runner. You don't need to be an athlete to be a runner.
there you go.
I like participating in the talentless sports. You don't need any talent, just grit.
Was that you that posted something, or somebody posted something about you don't need talent to run?
I think we talked about it with Danny or somebody, but yeah. I read it. I read it in Shoe Dog in the memoir of Phil Knight, the Nike founder, talking about you don't need talent to run. Yes. You just need to be able to run and push through pain mentally and physically. So you don't need talent to excel.
Yep. It made me think of the Friends episode when Phoebe was sneaking out to run, and then Rachel found her running, and she's just running like a total spaz. Did you ever see that one?
Yep.
Ran into the horse. It'll be interesting. 25-time marathoner. That's
impressive.
That is impressive. So a 3-hour, 19-minute Twin Cities marathon, that would be, how far would that be, do you think? What is that?
What's the average? The pace, you mean?
No, how many miles is that, or whatever you call it? That kind of marathon.
That's her best time for her marathon.
I know. How far would that be? Do you know?
26 miles.
Is it 26?
Yeah. Marathon's 26 miles.
See, that's the stuff I don't know.
Yeah, you lost me. I wasn't sure what you were talking about. It's always 26 miles.
Pop quiz. So Chicago got canceled, eh?
It did. Mm-hmm.
That's a bummer.
But they're being pretty cool about it. You can get your money back, or you can defer to any of the next 3 years. Only one of them, obviously. You can't do all three. And then you can also run it virtually to kind of just get the running community, up and going. They won't send you any of your stuff until you actually run it.
Gotcha.
But you don't got to pay. You don't got to pay for it again. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool. All right. Well, Miss Rowell is waiting in the waiting room, the green room of Zoom.
Man, we have a green room.
Yeah. Well, they don't actually call it that. I just did. So I'm going to get her on here. Admit.
Y'all should have some good service. Both y'all being in Minnesota.
Right. I think I got to unmute her. Unmute. Kristen, I think you're muted.
Can you hear us?
There
now
she
I'm
is.
not.
There she is.
Hey. How's it going?
Welcome. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
If y'all start talking in this Minnesota dialect and I can't understand, I'm just out of here.
I will do my best to avoid that.
I told Kieran, I'm like, you get to deal with 2 Minnesotan accents today. And there it is.
Exactly.
But I do want to talk about Minnesota for a second, since I have both of you guys here. So
sure.
Your Instagram is Minnesota Golden Girl, right?
Yes, and MN Golden Girl. Yep.
The University of Minnesota are the Golden Gophers, correct?
Correct.
So what's with the golden?
So I actually, and this is sort of funny, it has nothing to do with the Gophers. I'm obsessed with golden retrievers. I have my 4th golden retriever right now. So with the blonde hair that matches the dog and the whole golden thing,
right.
It's just always been my favorite color. So that's why I came up with it.
Okay. So do we know where Golden Gophers comes from?
I don't know. Do you, Jonathan?
No.
Here's what's embarrassing.
What?
We have a whole family history that went to the U, and I should know this answer, and I don't. So forgive me.
Maybe because it might be because the M is gold, but I don't know why we're Gophers.
I don't know. Whoever sold you the logo, probably they just wanted Gophers.
It's weird.
Yeah, I'm not going to join a trivia game about this anytime soon, because clearly I'm not.
Yeah, there are no prizes involved here.
Right.
Well, Kristen, hey, welcome. We're super glad to have you on, and can't wait to dive in. And John tried going over everything that you've accomplished, but we try to keep it under an hour, and he would have just kept on reading and reading and reading. But yeah, congrats on everything that you've accomplished so far.
Thank you.
Obviously, that's part of the reason why we wanted to have you on. So if you could just kind of give our listeners, all three of them, a little rundown on who you are, and then or some stuff that you do.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So my name is Kristin Rowell. As you mentioned, my Instagram handle is MNGoldenGirl, and I am a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, which essentially means that I coach clients and run courses and speak about nutrition topics anywhere people will listen to me, frankly. So I actually, right before recording this podcast, started module 1 of my second online nutrition course. So I really am passionate about the topic of nutrition and love to get the word out about how we should all be nourishing our bodies in the most optimal way for metabolic health and immune support. So I did not start out in nutrition. I was a trial lawyer for nearly 17 years. I practiced business litigation at a firm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and really loved that work. And the short version on why you would leave the practice of law when you are successful and do very well and go out and do this entrepreneur thing. The short version on that is that I, a few years ago, finally started a regular meditation practice. And for anyone who meditates, they may know what I'm talking about. For people who don't, I encourage you to try it. But it really resulted in me, for lack of a better term, being called to do this work. So what happens when you start a regular meditation practice is you start to notice signs from the universe that you may not have picked up on before. They may have always been there, by the way. You just may not have picked up on them. And so I started to notice little things like certain of my clients, while I was practicing law, would ask me questions about nutrition and want me to help with their food. Or people would present themselves to me when I was at the grocery store or in a workout. And that was interesting. Okay. But it became more than just an interest to me. And so it was something I decided to pursue as a career. And here I am 1 year later building a business.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's got to be a scary transition for you, going from something that's kind of, not safe, but it's, sturdy. It's something that you've been used to for so long to jumping into this. I mean, did you have any reservations, or who did you talk to, or did you confide in anyone to ask advice?
Yeah, good questions, because I know this is something that a lot of people think of, like, how could I ever make that jump, or how could I go out on my own? And I will tell you that I really wasn't scared to do it, and I didn't have reservations, so maybe I'm a little odd in that way. I'm sort of a go hard or go home person, as you can tell by my bio. I can talk about that a little bit, but like, for example, when I ran my first marathon, that was my first race I had ever run. I didn't run a 5K and then a 10K and then a half marathon, then a marathon. I just thought, okay, if I'm going to go, I'm going all out. So that's sort of just the way I run. And I had a meditation coach who's become a dear friend of mine, who I'd say was really there for me and someone I could talk to through this whole journey. It became literally impossible for me to ignore the signs that were kind of pushing me in this new direction. Everything from the examples I already gave you to all of a sudden last spring, when I was considering that I might do this, I had more white space on my calendar than I'd ever had in my entire 17-year career. So I was looking at it saying, oh my God, I actually could do this now. Yeah. I wouldn't be abandoning clients, and I could do this as a natural transition. And it was something that all of the stars sort of aligned, so to speak, so that it didn't make it scary for me, because I could tell this was absolutely what I was supposed to do.
That's awesome. Now we have I've talked to you about this on Instagram, the numerology thing, because you're talking about signs, and you always post when you see these numbers that like this means something very important, and I think it's just awesome, because I told you about the number I always see, 66, and I've seen that since my brother passed. I don't know what it is or if it means anything, but I always see the number 66. Was that something that... And the coolest thing
is that you're connected to it and you notice it, and it reminds you of your brother, and it puts you in the energy of your remembrance of him and all of the amazing things that you're doing for him. It's I believe, a way that the universe or he is reminding you about him.
That's interesting. Was that something that kind of like geared you into what you're doing? Like, okay, these are just more and more signs, so I need to follow this path?
Yes, I'll give you one silly example, but it was so powerful for me. I was at work on a Saturday. I used to work a lot on the weekends, and I was in this intense period of high stress, lots of time, lots of deadlines. And it was 11 something in the morning on the Saturday that I was there. I had done my run. I had quick jumped in the shower, got to the office as fast as I could, was furiously doing this work. And I happened to look down at the clock at one point and I saw that it said 11:22. And this is a number that I had been seeing repeatedly for probably 6 months. And I thought, what is that? Well, I was married on November 22nd. I've since been divorced, but I thought, okay, maybe something's going on with my ex-husband. Maybe that's a sign. I just didn't know. And then first home address was 1122 in Minneapolis on the street that we lived on. Wow. So there's that number was all of a sudden popping up all the time. And I thought, this is weird. So in the middle of my work, I paused, went to Google, what does it mean when you keep saying 1122? And what came up actually made me start to cry, because it was basically your angels are around you. They're supporting you and they're helping you with your mission, with your like divine purpose. And I had already kind of started to feel this pull to do this new business. And so it was such a confirmation for me, being super busy, being there on a Saturday, grinding away, and knowing that this path was opening for me.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So
it's really cool. Spirit numbers are cool.
You mentioned your run, you got your run in that day. And I saw in your bio, you've done 25 marathons, right?
I have. I've run 25, yes.
So obviously you didn't start running just as you became an entrepreneur. You've been into running, into fitness well beyond this, right?
Yes, Kieran. I actually ran my first marathon during the first semester of law school back in 2000 because I thought it would be a good way to relieve stress, because all I could hear from everyone is, oh my gosh, you're going to law school? Say goodbye to your life. You're not going to have a life. All you're going to do is work. And I thought, really? Uh-oh. Because I didn't have lawyers in my family. So yeah. I chose to sign up for the Chicago Marathon in 2000 and used that fall while I was studying to run my first race. Yep.
Oh, man. Were you planning on running Chicago this year?
Not this year, no. I ran Chicago in 2000, 2010. And I will tell you, even the difference, you guys, in those 10 years, the amount of people. Marathoning has become so much more popular. So when I was pretty close to the start I think in the first marathon, I was like still in the bathroom. I had no idea what I was doing. First marathon, I was like, wait, did the gun go off? Where am I supposed to be? And I ended up running pretty well. I ran a 3:49 for my first marathon and thought, well, maybe I could be good at these. And so when I did it 10 years later, I think it was twice as many people. And so I remember being kind of close to the front to start, and they had to hold people back with like a rope. And all I felt was, oh my gosh, I'm going to get trampled if they don't release this rope soon. It was kind of scary. But that marathon is really cool because you get to see the whole city.
Yeah. I was supposed to run it in October, but they just canceled it.
They did.
Yeah. But hopefully we'll get back up there and run it again. Chicago was always on my bucket list to run. We did a layover after our honeymoon in Chicago. It was 8 degrees. Snow was everywhere. I got off the plane in flip-flops and shorts, but bought a jacket, and we walked around the city that day, and we fell in love with it. So when the opportunity came to sign up, I took it. But they just canceled it last week. And
remind me where you're based out of, Kieran?
I'm in York County, Virginia.
Okay, in Virginia, right. So you guys have warmer marathons there.
We do, yeah. And I've ran 2 in Virginia and 1 in Philadelphia. So.
Oh, did you run the Philly? That's on my list. I've never done it.
I did. It was 31 degrees when I stepped outside the apartment to head to the start line.
That's my dream. I always say my dream marathon is 40 degrees at the start and 52 at the finish. And that was what we had in Twin Cities of 2015 when I ran my PR.
Well, I've always been a fan of cold weather running anyways. I always tell my wife I prefer training through the cold weather. I just like it better.
Yeah, it's more enjoyable to me for running because I'm one of those people that overheats and sweats a ton and loses a lot of water and salt. And I prefer to run in 40s and 50s for sure.
Yeah, definitely. How was go ahead, John?
I was just say, speaking of cold weather, I'm going to have to join you this winter in Calhoun in cold water therapy. Is that Calhoun you do it in?
Okay, yes. Will you join us this winter? So we do that in Cedar Lake, actually.
Cedar Lake.
So
Okay.
I live 4 blocks off of Calhoun. So I just took the dog and walked through the snow over to Cedar that day, jumped in the water, put my clothes back on, and walked back home. It was awesome. I mean, this is the kind of stuff, Kieran, that we do in states like this. This is what we do for fun.
We turned John into a runner. I don't know if he's told you about this yet.
I am aware of this, but I need more details. He is a runner now, I hear.
I've talked him into doing an ultra with me.
Good boy.
Amazing. So what one are you guys going to do?
Well, it's actually, it's one that I just planned out. It's there's a trail in Virginia. It's called the Capitol Trail. It's over 50 miles. And we're just going to run it, me, John, and 2 other buddies to just raise some money for mental health awareness. Completely unsanctioned, uninsured. We're just going to show up in the middle of the night, run through the night, and just hopefully make.
Yeah, that's awesome. What time of the year are you going to do it?
It's March.
Like weather-wise, what will it be?
It'll be early March.
Okay.
So we could be right in that sweet spot of 35 to 55.
Oh, that'd be good.
But you guys don't have snow, right?
Not a lot, no. We got 1 day of snow last year, and it was like 1.5 inches, and they shut down the entire state.
Don't you have mountains near you, though? Can't you take him up one of those? Really challenge him?
No, there's no mountains where I am. Mm-mm.
How far away are you from Appalachia?
Couple hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could take him to the beach.
I did a junior year of college. I went to Boston College, so I was out on the East Coast for a while, and we drove to West Virginia, and we built a home for Habitat for Humanity in the Appalachian Mountains somewhere in West Virginia.
Oh, very
So
cool.
when I hear Virginia, I obviously assume it's somewhere relatively close.
Right, yeah. West Virginia is about 7-8 hours away.
Okay.
Yeah. I could take him to the beach and do a sand run. That'd be challenging as well.
Those are not easy.
Let's talk about, because I saw a picture you posted, I think it was from your first marathon to maybe one of your more recent ones. And, definitely body composition was completely different. Were you eating keto during your first couple marathons?
Oh no. So I can share this because this is what I always find fascinating, and I want people who are runners to understand. For whatever reason, low carb ketogenic fueling just hasn't really caught on in the marathon community still. It's been around in the ultra community forever because ultra runners know fat for fuel is going to last you a lot longer than carbohydrates are, right? But for whatever reason, it never caught on in marathoning. So I was always doing the pasta the night before, making sure I had my banana or my bagel in the morning. I mean, I think about it now and I'm like, no wonder I had to stop and go to the bathroom during races. No wonder my gut was wrecked when I got to the finish line. Yep. I was just glucose fueled and my body couldn't handle it. It was like, stop eating these goos and feeding me this garbage. So I ended up, after having, I think I'd already run 20 marathons at that point, I fell on ice in Williston, North Dakota in December of 2013, randomly on a work trip. I was not running. And I broke my right leg in 10 places. So it was my tib fib. I shattered it essentially. And the docs had to put, a week later, I flew back to Minneapolis that day, but a week later I had surgery at TRIA and they did 2 plates on either side and 10 screws on each side. So I had 22 pieces of metal put in my leg.
Oh, wow.
I got all of that out in December of 2014. So I had to have it in for a year. But the new science with these orthopedic surgeons is they want to take that metal out for long-term healing. So I got it out. And then I ran my fastest marathon the following October of 2015.
Oh, wow.
And I did that one. That was the first marathon that I did completely ketogenic, low carb, because as a result of the injury, and this is why I brought up the injury, backstory. As a result of that, I started researching nutrition and being like, okay, maybe how in the world does someone who's strong like me, who has a lot of muscle, who's run this much, actually break their leg that badly? And so I went down the rabbit hole of nutrient absorption and mineral balance in the body and bone structure. And I just started to really dig to figure out what was going wrong. And all of that research led me into low carb. And so I hadn't run another marathon, obviously, because I had a broken leg until I had been fat adapted for a while. And so my fastest marathon, the night before, I had a steak and either broccoli or asparagus and I had butter on it. And the morning of, I had 1 packet of coconut butter and I felt amazing. Nothing else the whole race.
Oh, nothing else the whole race?
Nothing. I didn't do anything else, just water. I don't do Gatorades. I don't do goos. I don't do any of that.
Any salt?
No, because it was 45 at the start and 52 at the finish.
Okay.
And I had done the coconut butter, and I just felt with the steak the night before, I just felt really good. Yeah. So I didn't need to. I think if it was hotter, I would have. Yeah. I would have, but I didn't need to for this one.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about the broken leg thing, because I was listening to your podcast with, I just listened to it this morning, the higher, I forgot what it's called.
High intensity?
Yes, that.
Yes, Lawrence Neal. Yes.
Yep. And I heard him say that you broke your leg in 10 places. And I told Karen, like, we need to find out how this happened.
Right? So my orthopedic surgeon said if someone paid me $1 million, I could not recreate that fall. It was like on a curb. It was 20 below zero. It was in front of the airport. I wasn't even in heels. I mean, I was in a suit because I was in a business suit, but I was in like lower shoes. I still don't know how it happened. It was awful. But what's interesting is that was in December of 2013. And the marathon, I distinctly remember this, Fargo Marathon in May of 2012, I had to have 5 goos, one every 5 miles to get me through that marathon. Oh, wow. Because that's when I used to be a glucose burner. Mm-hmm. And then thankfully for this injury, it catapulted me on this whole new health journey, which is awesome.
That's crazy. Now, I don't want to like hop all over too much because there's so much to talk about with you. 2018 Miss Natural Minnesota. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Okay. So one of the consequences of me breaking my leg in 2013 is I obviously couldn't run for a while. I was very afraid at the time because I had been a runner at that point for 13 years and I'd always been an athlete and I had already been strength training for a while, but I was nervous about what it meant if I couldn't work out as hard all the time. And I thought, and it's the winter and it's Minnesota. And what if I get depressed or what if I become like social? I had all these fears around what it meant if I couldn't exercise. So a week or and a half to 2 weeks after I had the metal put in my leg, I went back to my gym, which locally here, Jonathan, I strength train at Discover Strength. Mm-hmm. And I went back there and I started lifting for my left leg, abs and back, upper body. I thought, you know what? The only thing that's broken is my right leg. Why am I going to use this as an excuse to sit on the couch? So I got back in the gym. It actually helped me heal in record time. The doctors told me I wouldn't put any weight on my right leg for 3 months. I actually started walking on it again in 2. Wow. And then I was running on it just 4 months after that. So it allowed me to heal better. And my point in sharing that with you is during that time, I also was not running. So what I also was able to learn about my own body is when I cut the cardio and ramped up the lifting, I could get really jacked. Yeah. So that was kind of just a fun experiment. And so what that led me into was maybe I might do a bodybuilding show someday. I had always been strong, but this was just a next level strong. And so finally by 2017, I did my first bodybuilding competition and then I won and got my pro card in 2018.
Wow. So how many of those have you done?
So I did 2 shows in 2017, 2 shows in 2018 and 1 show in 2019. So I competed as a pro for the first time in 2019. And then I wanted to do it again this year, but COVID hit and now we don't have any shows that are live. So the pro game was a totally different ball game. It was a lot more difficult. The competition was women from all over the country and it was more challenging, which was awesome. But I also didn't do as well, which is okay. So now I want to go back and do it again. How does
that work with your pro card? Obviously, if you can't tell, I'm not in the pro bodybuilding circuit. But so when you get your when you get your pro card, do you have to keep competing and place at certain levels, or you lose it, or is it something you always have?
So far you always have. You have to pay to renew it every year, of course. Right. It's one of these membership deals. But essentially what it means is I now can't compete as an amateur in like any other federation anymore. Okay. So now when next time I compete, I only compete at the pro level. And I think that my IPE status as a pro remains as long as I continue to pay. And I don't think there's a requirement of how much you compete or how often.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if like in other sports, like if you don't do well at the pro level, they shoot you back down to the amateur level. I don't know.
I should probably look into that. I don't think that's true. But what's also interesting is as a pro, I won as a pro in the overall, even though I was over 40. So I was also competing in the older ladies group, but I won the all ages. So I don't know if I could get my pro card now I don't know how that works.
A lot of paperwork, huh?
Yes, exactly.
Sounds like
exactly.
What I wanted to ask you about, and I wanted to touch on it, you first said it, but we've gotten off on a lot of other stuff, but you were talking about metabolic health and immune system strengthening, right?
Yes.
So the immune system strength kind of goes hand in hand right now with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
What would, and being in nutrition therapy and all that, what would you suggest that people are doing right now?
Yeah, I love this topic. I spoke on stage at KetoCon last year in Austin, Texas. And this year we went virtual for the event. So and I've got to release this on social media, I keep forgetting, but I just gave a talk on how to improve your immune system through digestion. And people are like, wait, what? Digestion? What does that have to do with your immune system? But the reality is, you guys, and I'm so obsessed with people understanding this, that largely our immune system comes from our gut. So if your microbiome, and by gut, I mean small intestine, which if you take it out of your body and lay it out, it's 25 feet in length. So that thing is a very, very important organ in our bodies. And a lot can go wrong given the amount of distance. So these are simple things, but I'm going to list them out. One of the things that people can be doing is chewing their food really well and having it actually mush up in their mouth before they swallow it. And the reason for that is our immune system is constantly doing two things all of the time. It's patrolling our body and asking two questions. Are you safe? And are you me? Like, are you actually part of me? So I don't think you're a foreign invader. So sometimes the foreign invader is a bacteria because you ate, raw meat or raw sushi or undercooked meat that had, some kind of parasite on it. Okay. So you might have a bacteria, or you might have a virus like COVID get into you, or what also can get in your system, which people find shocking. I did too when I learned this in school, is when you have a dysfunctional small intestine. So when you have leaky gut, people have heard this term. Mm-hmm. What it means is the cell wall of your small intestine, which is like a tube, think of like your pointer finger or something that's 25 feet long. The wall of that becomes compromised. So that wall is designed, if it's working optimally, to let certain things in and let certain things out and nothing else. Well, when you have leaky gut because you've been eating processed food, drinking alcohol, eating too much sugar, not sleeping enough, doing all of the stuff we know we're not supposed to do, you actually can cause leaky gut. And now all of a sudden things are leaking out of your small intestine and they go floating around in your bloodstream. And your body is like, again, the immune system is looking for those invaders saying, what is that? So if you're not chewing your food well and you have leaky gut, a food particle can come out of your small intestine and be floating around. And now all of a sudden your immune system goes, alarm on aisle 6, go clean up aisle 6. And so now your immune system is wasting its time and energy on this piece of meat that you didn't chew well enough and didn't digest properly. And now you've caused this cascade of immune problems. So one of the simplest things people can do is literally chew your food so that you're not creating that havoc in your small intestine. Okay. That's one thing. Another thing that's huge, and I'm doing this a lot now, is I'm really paying attention to quality sleep. So this means, you guys, quality sleep is not, okay, I'm going to go to bed at midnight or 1 in the morning and sleep until 8 or 9. Quality sleep is I'm going to get my body in bed somewhere between 9 and 10. I know this sounds crazy to people, but if I can be asleep between 10 and 2, I'm going to maximize all of my recovery for everything. So I track with my Oura Ring and I look at it every day, and without fail, every night I fall asleep before 10, I have the most quality sleep because your circadian rhythm, the way our clocks are designed, is to be asleep between 10 and 2. Our bodies want to be. So you get your most deep sleep, which is what you need for muscle recovery and immune support, between 10 and 2. And you get most of your REM sleep, which is what you need to heal your brain, between 10 and 2. So I'd say sleep is another thing. Chewing your food, sleeping. I think it's really important that people keep exercising. I mean, metabolic health and immune system are so connected. So if you have extra body fat on you, I think it's a really good thing to start strength training so that you can reduce that body fat and reduce your carbohydrate and sugar consumption. So that would be 4. sugar and carbohydrates, put those, have less of that. And also 5 would be make sure you're staying hydrated. I mean, this is a 24, 25 ounce bottle. I'm just finishing number 5 for the day.
Dang.
Nice. Mm-hmm. And it's still early.
Yes. Yes. So I try to get between 6 and 8 a day.
So let's talk about that sleep real quick. Optimal between 10 and 2. So say someone like myself who I do shift work, 24-hour shifts. Some nights I don't get sleep just because of call volume or stuff. Can I make up for that? Is there a substitute for later in the day or? Yeah.
So what the research shows is that like the theory about making up is it's tough to do, but you certainly are better off doing it than not doing it. So I don't know if you know this, and I don't know how long you've been doing shift work, but just last year, and we talked about this on stage at Keto Summit Omaha in January, I was on the fitness panel, and we were talking about the fact that I think it was the CDC, it was some government organization that just recently recognized shift work as a carcinogen because of the damage that it does to your body. So it's listed in the same category as smoking and other things because of how it interrupts your circadian rhythm. So I think if I was you, the things I'd be really focused on is when I wanted to prepare my body for sleep, and I wish I had them here, they're upstairs now, but I have those blue light blocking glasses. So you should wear those in those hours before you're trying to prepare your body for sleep, right? And then make sure you're blacked out shades, things that kind of trick your body into believing that your circadian rhythm is getting you ready for sleep now so that you can do it. Because when are you typically sleeping, Kieran, during a 24-hour period?
Well, I'm a firefighter. So at the firehouse, it's like our regular house, but sometimes we take calls. So sometimes I'll sleep all night, but it just depends if there's calls in the middle of the night or not.
Got it.
So I would say 1 shift per cycle is usually not any sleep. And
so then when you have no sleep, what do you do the next day to catch up? Do you let yourself sleep?
I'll take a nap if I can. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
I think power naps are awesome.
And then usually early to bed the next night, or hopefully early to bed the next night.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the best you can do.
Yeah.
The other thing, because you guys asked about the immune system, I'm reading some controversy. I don't know if you've come across this about whether or not people should be fasting during COVID, right? It's like, is that a stressor, right? Okay. So I've been down the rabbit hole on this because I'm trying to sort this out because I do a lot of fasting. So I obviously think it depends, number one, on your experience with fasting. Don't go do a 7-day water fast if you've never fasted before.
Right.
But everything I'm seeing is that scientists generally agree we shouldn't be right now doing long-term multi-day extended fasts of like longer than a 72-hour period. So 5 days and 7 days, maybe not do those right now just because those are an extra stressor on the immune system. But I practice intermittent fasting nearly every day. I didn't today, but I do it almost every day. And I love the way it makes me feel. And I also know that it's really good for getting rid of the old, dead, useless cells that we don't need anymore,
right,
and killing those off and regenerating new cells. So I think intermittent fasting is the way to go.
What about any kind of immune system supplements to help strengthen it? Do you think those could be beneficial during long-term fasts or?
During long-term fasts?
Yeah, if fasting longer can be an added stressor to your immune system, if you're taking different types of supplements for your immune system, like vitamin B or colostrum, well, could that be better?
Well, so the way I look at it, to answer your question, Kieran, is we have this thing called allostatic load. So our allostatic load is our stress bucket. So if you have a stressful job and you're not sleeping very much, and let's say you do a ton of high intensity exercise, and let's say now you put on a long fast on it, I don't know that doing the right supplements is going to make up for all of those other stressors in your bucket.
Right.
If the only stressor you had was doing this longer term fast and you had high quality supplements that were bioavailable, that were giving you nutrients that you needed, I suppose that would help. But my personal practice when I fast is I usually cut out the supplements while I'm fasting. And I do that because I'm not digesting any food, and some supplements are really meant to be absorbed with fat and stuff. So I just don't do supplements usually, other than salt, of course, and some electrolytes. But I typically am not adding supplements in. So I have not done a 5 or 7 day fast. So I can't speak to exactly what might be appropriate for that length of time.
Yeah, most vitamins on an empty stomach make you nauseous anyway. So
True.
it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Speaking of vitamins, I can't find it on your Instagram, and I've seen you post about those. Is it like algae or what is that?
Yes.
Talk about that, because you rave about it.
I do, and thank you so much for asking about that, Jonathan. That is the number one thing that I think people could be doing for their immune system. And I did not understand much about this. I met the woman who owns Energy Bits. Her name's Catherine Arneston. She started this business maybe 15 years ago or more out of Boston. She sources her spirulina and her chlorella from the best places in the world. So one of the things about spirulina and chlorella is because they're a plant, you want to make sure that it's good farming practices where you get them. I actually was having a conversation last weekend with someone who said, hey, when you take your spirulina, does it have a really strong, like gross, fishy smell? And I said, absolutely not. That has to do with the quality of the spirulina. So you should be getting one that's high quality. There isn't a scent that comes with these spirulina pills that are Energy Bits. And so 30 of those tablets is what I take every morning, spirulina with my water. And I put lemon in my water and Redmond sea salt. And then I take 30 of those and then I do 30 chlorella at night. And I am probably going to do a webinar at some point about these because I want people to understand how great they are for the immune system, especially for carnivores and other people who don't eat vegetables. 30 of these tablets is like, it's something crazy. I'm going to get the statistics wrong, but I want to say it's equivalent to like eating 5 pounds of vegetables in terms of the nutrients that are in the pills. And they're bioavailable because they don't have a cell wall. So your body can absorb the nutrients very easily. So I think those are hands down one of the best things people can do for their immune system right now. And they're called Energy Bits. And I became an affiliate because I sing about them from the rooftops, but they're really, really good.
Huh. Yeah, I was taking spirulina a while back, and I obviously didn't dive into the research about it because I didn't know, like, I heard it's good for you, especially if you're doing carnivore because it helps with the gut. But yeah, I've seen your post about it. I'm like, I got to figure out what these are.
Yes. So are you doing full carnivore right now still?
No, not right now.
Okay. I didn't know if you were doing, because I was supplementing, I do some organ supplements. You and I talked about that, and I got some ancestral supplements, and it was at the grass-fed complex from one of the other brands.
Optimal Carnivore?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I got those too. Yeah.
Yeah. We both take those, the bone marrow and the organ complex.
Yeah. That's awesome. I ended up ordering some freeze-dried heart, kidney, and liver from Australia that I still have in the freezer. I've tried to sort of like melt it in bone broth, and I can't figure out a way to eat it where it's actually something I want to put in my mouth. I'm like gutting it.
I just got a meat grinder for Father's Day, and I have like 6 beef livers in my freezer right now. So I'm going to grind them up with some ground beef for burgers, because
that's perfect.
Liver, the flavor is not great. You know what I mean? So I think if you mix it with some chorizo and some ground beef into a burger, it's delicious.
That's a really good way to get it in.
You got to use Danny Vega's organ meat burger recipe.
I've seen that. Yeah.
He has a good recipe for it. He and I talked about that.
I might throw a heart in there too, because heart's just a little too lean for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had the heart before.
I have not.
I only have it freeze dried. I haven't had it in regular burgers.
I tried to slow cook it in the crock pot one day, and there's just no fat on it, and it's like the driest roast that you could think of. Yeah.
So it became like heart jerky.
Kinda, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had to just mix it in with some scrambled eggs just to get it down.
Sure.
But
interesting.
Huh.
So let's talk about your energetically efficient.
Sure. Thank you.
So this is the endeavor you took on after leaving being a lawyer, right?
Yes, exactly. So the name of the business, Energetically Efficient, came to me in a meditation, because everything is guided, which is really fun. And it spoke to me for several reasons. Number one, I'm obsessed with everything that's efficient. So my workouts are efficient. The way I eat is efficient. The way I structure my day is efficient. And it's not because, it's not because I'm trying to rush through things. It's because there's so much I want to do and so much that I enjoy. And I just am not interested in wasting time. So like these trainers that I always talk about, that I spoke about on that podcast, my strength training, and I became a bodybuilder doing 30 minutes twice a week. People are like, that's insane, but it's efficient. So that's why I like it. And then the energetically part is I just really believe that this world is all about energy. And I think where we are headed as a planet, especially with what we are going through on the planet right now in terms of the virus, in terms of political things that are happening, in terms of a lot that's going on, I think that people are going to find it leading into where we are headed, meditation and going inward and understanding how to work with your energy body and with the energy of other humans is going to be paramount to success. So I do believe, although nutrition is my passion and that's what I will continue to coach on, I do believe there'll be some things in my future in terms of creating courses or at least webinars or teachings around energy and around how to use that for good and how to work less and be able to be more successful doing more. So it's fun stuff.
Yeah. So you talked about switching from being a lawyer, moving into what you're doing, how you just kind of did it. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people, especially with COVID, are going through major changes in their lives. Like for me, example, my restaurant, the 508 downtown, permanently closed. Mm-hmm. We just announced that today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So, and there's a lot of people going through this. I mean, you hop on Facebook, thousands of people in the service industry alone are like, mm-hmm. I need to find something else. What can I do? What do I do? How do I approach a whole new career path? I mean, I'm 44 years old. Mm-hmm. So I'm in that boat right now and I'm figuring it out. You know, I'm taking my time and I'm going to do it. But what would be your advice for somebody going through that, whether it's due to something like COVID or just something that's a calling to them? Like, you know, if Kieran's a firefighter now, but he really wants to be a famous hunter, what would you do? How would you give some advice to approach that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The number one thing is, and this is very important, is people have to start meditating. They have to get still with themselves. Because here's what I believe, you guys, and any successful meditator will tell you this, you actually have all of the answers within you already. And the problem with our society and the way that we've all been raised is that we go from thing to thing to thing to thing, and we never sit in the stillness. And I'm going to admit to being guilty of this. My discipline is in being still. I can wake up, get to my workout, go do this, hop on a Zoom call, talk to a client. I mean, I could fill my day with things all the time. It's again, this efficiency thing. So I have to schedule in time for meditation and stillness. And every time I commit to my meditation practice for days and weeks on end, it is amazing how much comes to me in terms of, oh, that's how you should go. That's the direction. Everything falls into place. All of a sudden, someone, Jonathan, I'll use you as an example. So you make this announcement today, 508 is closed, and you feel, let's say deeply, that you want to start a business called ABC for some reason, doing whatever it is. You may then, as a result of your meditation practice and getting still and knowing that this is your intention and that you think that that's your purpose, meet someone 2 days from now that all of a sudden presents as a person who can help you get that off the ground or know someone who knows someone. It's the synchronicities that you invite into your life when you really get still and pay attention to that. Now, I understand that it's difficult. I understand that sitting with ourselves and being still and turning off our brain and not having thoughts is really hard for everyone to do. It was difficult for me. So what I did, like I do every time I want to learn something new, I hired a meditation coach. So I highly recommend my meditation coach. I had her come down to the law firm. She taught me how to meditate, as weird as that might sound. And I had such tremendous benefit from even one session with her that I chose to work with her for a period of time. She has a $25 a month monthly membership where you can meditate on Monday nights with us every Monday night at 9 p.m. Central. She does this virtual, so people can do it from all over the world. And it's that regular practice of tuning into what's in here, because we all chose to be on the planet at this time. Every single one of us chose to be here. And our soul said, I want you to come here because you're going to do X, Y, and Z. And so our job, I believe our job while we're here is to figure out what that is. Like, what is it that we're really called to do? And how are we supposed to serve? Like, I believe if we were all serving in our purpose, we probably wouldn't even need, to have to worry about money, because everyone would be contributing their piece of what they're supposed to do. And we'd be like in a barter society where everyone's just happy and successful and abundant and wealthy, and you don't have to worry about anything else. So I think that's where we're headed, and I think it's really cool.
Can you walk us through a meditation practice?
For sure. I'd be happy to.
Like, because I'm thinking, you keep talking about meditation. I'm thinking about it in my head when I could do it. And I'm thinking, well, how do I not fall asleep? Right? Because usually it's early morning when you meditate. Yeah. So I'm thinking.
So what I do is I agree with you. A lot of people fall asleep right after. So I work out first and then I come back and I meditate. And I meditate sitting up. So I'm in this chair right now, sitting up. So I've got my hands open on my legs. And I'll give you an example. This is what I would do with my meditation coach or what I do by myself. And I talk through it purposely so that I can stay in the energy of being alert. Because if I just sit here and I kind of want to slump over on the chair and I'm like, oh, I'm tired, I can understand how that could be difficult. So we're really like, you are a technology, you're a technology, I'm a technology. We're responsible for turning that on. It's like turning on your iPhone every morning. So think of yourself as an iPhone, and you might be running an iPhone 2 right now and you want to upgrade to an iPhone 11. So this is why you want to do this work. So I would sit here and say, okay, as I begin this guided meditation practice this morning, I feel present and relaxed. I am opening up my crown chakra. So just so you guys know, your crown chakra is here. It's the top of your head. That's your chakra number 7. I'm opening up my crown chakra, connecting to pure source, letting that light come in through my crown. I feel that light coming all the way down around my face, the sides of my head, the back of my head. That energy is coming into my throat. I take a swallow of that energy. I can feel that energy coming down into the tops of my shoulders, the front of my chest, my lungs, my heart, the back, my top of my back, coming down my biceps, triceps, elbows, forearms, wrist, palms, fingers. I shoot that energy out the front of my fingers and I shine it on my present and future self. And a lot of times, you guys, at this point, I actually picture myself on stage speaking to people because that's what I really desire to do. So I'll picture that. That energy comes back into my hands, up my arms, comes into my trunk, lights up my spine. I picture my spine lit up like a light bulb at the base of my spine. That energy comes all down through my midsection, lighting up all my organs, coming down into my hips, coming around my seat. That energy comes on my hamstrings, my quads, my kneecaps, coming down my shins, my calves, my ankles, my feet. And that energy is going to shoot out like 2 lightning rods underneath my feet, down through my home, through the center of the earth, all the way to the center of the earth, where it gets to the center of the earth. And at the center of the earth, it locks around the center of the earth tightly. And I feel rooted and grounded and connected with the earth. And as that lock is placed in the center of the earth, I pull that energy back up. It travels all throughout the layers of the earth, come back into my home, up my feet, lighting up my feet, my ankles, my shins, my calves, my kneecaps, my quads, my hamstrings, my seat, my hips, my organs, my lungs, my heart, my low back, my spine, my mid back, my upper back, lighting up all my arms, coming into my throat, again through my head, out my crown, and again connecting me to source. And I am present and I am willing to receive. And I'm so curious about how I am here to serve. I'm so curious about how I am here to serve. I am open. I do something like that.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, took you through the whole thing.
Yeah. My fiance, she's a yoga instructor and she meditates. There's times she'll get like seriously into it and she'll meditate every day for a few weeks straight and then it lags. And I've done it. I wish I could be more disciplined to do it every single day. I mean, I've done some guided ones where like it literally takes you, I don't know where.
Yes.
Like
yes.
My stepson was dancing in front of me. I didn't even know he was there.
Go to a different realm. You actually do go to different realms.
If you really get into it, you are like, it's crazy. So,
so what you just mentioned, Jonathan, about the practice and how you wish you could be more disciplined with it, that was exactly where I was. And then someone told me meditation is like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. And so I thought, okay, wait a second. I wouldn't skip a month at the gym or 3 weeks at the gym. You know, that made sense to me when they put it in terms of a muscle, because it really is a muscle and it gets better as you practice more.
Okay. When we're done, will you send me that lady's information?
Of course I will. Yes, she's very good.
Now,
and then you can share it. You can share it with the listeners because she's very good and she does this all over. I'm actually attending a live event with her on Monday. But it's lucky because she's here in Minnesota.
Now, aren't there meditation apps that you can use?
There are. So I use the Calm app, and that is the one that I do. I do this guided one that I just took you guys through and various versions of that. Sometimes it's 20 minutes long. Sometimes it's 5. I do that at night, but then the Calm app I do in the morning. And so that's my favorite. I don't like Headspace that much. I bought 10% Happier. I was using that one for a while. I thought that was good. Insight Timer is one that's free. So there are a lot of different apps, but Calm has a daily 10-minute meditation. And I remember telling Danny about that one a couple of years ago. And I know that's the one he and Mouta use now too.
Yep. Yeah, I have that app as well. It's a good app.
I like that app. Yeah.
So what's next? I mean, could there be anything else?
Another marathon, maybe?
What's the future hold?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I was intending to run a marathon this fall. I was going to do Twin Cities, but there isn't a Twin Cities either because, a marathon distance is 26.2 and I've run 25 marathons. So I keep thinking I've got to run a 26 and then maybe I'll call it a day. Right. But outside of that, building a business is so much fun and I can't believe how much I don't know and how much I keep having to learn. So I'm working on rebranding and building my whole new website. I've got someone who I've hired to do that. I'm launching the second nutrition course. But one thing I'm really trying to get clear on is, let's say once this course is over, I have a lot of one-on-one clients that are awesome and I love. And I just want to make sure that I'm letting the universe guide me into how I'm supposed to serve next. So I think as the country evolves and as the planet evolves and people start to have these breakdowns that we're seeing a lot of job loss, divorces, cheating. I mean, there's a lot of difficult things coming up for people right now. I think people are going to need more resources to go more inward than ever. So I'm trying to figure out how I can help serve in that way just because I've been doing that work for a few years. So the short answer is I'm going to let the universe tell me and then I'll let you know.
Yeah. So I'd like to get your thoughts on, like you were just saying, there's a lot of things negative things going on, especially with COVID, people losing their jobs, divorce, people are being forced to hang out more with their spouses. And for some people, you're finding out that maybe that wasn't the person that you wanted to hang out with as much. So the divorce rates are a little higher. Suicide rates are going up. How do you combat that mental anguish that a lot of people are going through? Can we do it with nutrition? Can we do it with meditation, with exercise? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, great question. I think the answer is yes, we can. And we can do it with all 3 of those things. So I believe, and this is just at a higher level because of all my training with the spirituality and meditation stuff, at a higher level, what's happening on the planet right now is because what we're seeing is a breakdown of the system of control. So I'll just give you guys this little spiritual lesson if you're interested in it, because I find this fascinating.
Absolutely.
So in the spiritual world, what we learn is up until the year 2000, we were as a planet in what was called the Piscean era. So Pisces, based on astrology, the Piscean era we had been in for thousands of years. So up until the year 2000, it was all the 3 of us and most anyone listening to this knew in their lifetime. And the Piscean model was based on things like this: control, structure, corporations, churches, linear, rules. You're born, you go to school, you learn the things they teach you, you graduate, you get married, you get a job, you have 2.5 kids, you work at the same job your entire career, then you retire, and then you die. And that was the Piscean model. If you look at your parents and your grandparents, this is what people did. Well, in 2000, and this is why it's fascinating to me that our souls chose to inhabit the planet at this time. I mean, this is amazing that we're here, because this is an amazing time to be a human. So we chose to be here at a time where we transition as a planet from the Piscean model to the Aquarian Age. And the Aquarian Age is what we started in 2000. I believe, and this is what the spiritual teachings will tell you, it's the reason that September 11th happened. There was another period wave that opened up in 2012. What we're going through now is part of it. And it's because we have until 2035 as a planet to integrate into the Aquarian Age. Now, what is the Aquarian Age? Well, unlike the Piscean model, the Aquarian Age is completely different. It bucks that whole system. So the Aquarian Age is, there are no rules. It's based on love, creativity, individuation, this is the first time you can have someone be a millionaire based on their personal brand. That couldn't have happened in the 80s. We didn't have social media. So not coincidentally, around the time that we've made the Aquarian Age, social media came about. People are becoming entrepreneurs in droves right now. Everyone's about finding their purpose. This whole term millennial, which I hate, is not a thing. These are humans living in the new world that are Aquarian Age people. All of these kids, by the way, that have been born after 2000 are here for major missions. They're here to majorly shake stuff up. And the reason that it's so difficult for people that I'll just lump in the term aren't doing the work or aren't meditating or aren't getting in touch with their soul is that they're going to be forced into this new system and they're not going to like it because they're grabbing onto the Piscean control. They're grabbing onto the structure of, it's not a coincidence that Notre Dame burned down, okay? Like the amount of distortions that we have in our systems that have existed for thousands of years all have to get unearthed. All of the sex trafficking that we're hearing about now, all of the pedophilia in like politics and in Hollywood, that's a real thing that's coming out right now. And our American people are going to be like, wait, what? This actually has been happening right in front of us. But it's because all of the corruption has to be unearthed because it can't exist where we're headed as a consciousness. The consciousness is, too many people are waking up and the consciousness is getting too high for any of that poison to exist anymore. So it can't, thank God. So it's going to be eviscerated. But the problem is the transition kind of looks icky, right? It looks like we're going to have everyone in masks and we're going to make them wear masks because then we can keep them scared and we can keep trying to control them. Well, no. This has nothing to do with a virus. I've read the patents for both viruses. I went down this rabbit hole. This has nothing to do with a virus. It has to do with control, and the control is breaking down on the planet. And so this is what it looks like. And this is why you have this divide of mask, no mask. It's people that are awake versus people that aren't yet. And they'll get there. It's just going to be harder if you don't start meditating and doing the work, which is why I'm so passionate about helping people wake up.
Wow.
That's a long answer, but it's really, really interesting stuff. And I mean it when I say, as difficult as some of the stuff as people are going through, it is a great time to be alive. It really is.
That's unreal.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Wow. So that was
now that we've covered the whole history of the world. Just kidding.
Yeah. So we are wrapping up here in about an hour. We like to keep about an hour.
Sure.
It's crazy. An hour always sneaks up, doesn't it?
I know, especially when it's like a riveting conversation about the planet and life. And
yes,
this stuff is fascinating to me, you guys. And to be honest with you, in all of the things I'm following and researching, what I've seen, what I'm hearing is October and November are probably going to be kind of a shit show in this country. And I don't know what that means. I mean, obviously we have an election year, so it's always a shit show. But, one thing that I'm hearing is, and some of the spiritual leaders are predicting, is that we're actually going to see some pretty serious natural disasters happen around the world at some point this year. So I don't know what that means or where those will be. But there's a lot of stuff that's going to be unearthed that I think is going to shock most average people. And so I encourage people to do their research and to start questioning and using their critical thinking skills about the virus statistics and the masks and everything that we're being told. I am not saying the virus is not real. I know of people who have died from it. I know that that's real. What I'm asking people to challenge is the data and the direction you're being given about mask wearing and your immune system. Like, no one's talking about how you get healthier and what some of the simple remedies are to actually fix this. And that's the most disturbing thing to me. And it proves to me this is all about the breakdown of control. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we need to all start meditating our asses off.
Exactly. But I am going to give you my meditation coach's info. And if you guys want to put that on a podcast for people, she does 15-minute discovery calls just so you can see if she's a good fit for you. And then she has very, very powerful work. We call it, she came up with this, I just parroted it from her, modern therapy. So where I used to go to therapy, I got divorced in 2012. I used to go to therapy and talk about all the things I had done in the last week. And now I'm just regurgitating. And then I go about my life and I come back and I do the same thing. And I was like, Jesus, I feel like this is Groundhog Day. Isn't there a better way to do it? And when I found her, she said, oh, no, that stuff's so outdated. It serves a place. But really where we're headed is doing this meditation work. And she helps clear things from my past and from my lineage in a meditation. And then I can go about my day. So it's fascinating work. And I want everyone to be able to experience it, honestly.
That's awesome. Well, so I know after everyone listens to this podcast, they're going to want to know where to get more of you. So where can people find you?
Yeah, thank you so much. So my website is energeticallyefficient.com. I am on Instagram as MN for Minnesota, MN Golden Girl. And then I'm on LinkedIn just under my name, Kristin Rowell. It's Kristin. And I finally got a Facebook page last fall. So I try to check it, but I forget because it's one of those apps that I'm just not used to.
Right.
And I'm trying to work on the YouTube thing, but my email is Kristin@energeticallyefficient. People can email me directly.
Very cool. And we'll link all that stuff in the show notes. This will be on YouTube and most podcast platforms. So.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. This is so fun. And I just noticed your shirt says 1980, Kieran, which is awesome.
Is that,
what does the rest of it say?
It says World Champs.
Aha.
It's a Phillies baseball
Phillies.
Of course. Phillies.
Yes, baseball is back.
Are they playing baseball?
They will be. They play.
Will be.
Yeah, next weekend I think is opening day. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Go Twins.
I know. We'll have some here.
I'm just glad for baseball. That's all.
Good.
But Kristen, thank you so much for coming on and
so awesome talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you both so much.
Conversation. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
We'll talk soon.
Bye.
See ya.